Okay. So we are back. Um, so the so that's so we were talking about spiritual life. Like it's more like we are returning back to home of divine compassion. Okay. Ramanuja does not stand before Bhagavan with pride. Okay. So all this, why do I have to give you the other aspect? I could keep telling you that Ramanuja is nice. I'm also using double negatives here. To in general to ensure that people, when we conduct our lives, there are times we there is a chance of getting derailed, the whole journey getting derailed. So you have to understand that all of this is part of this package. Okay, he does not say I know everything, I have done everything, I deserve everything. Okay, he stands with honesty, but this honesty is not okay where he's bashing himself. It is not a very uh, a message which has negative connotations to it. It is not saying I'm useless, because once you say that I do not have pride, or once you say I'm willing to submit myself, it 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 almost seems as though uh, it's almost like you're letting yourself down. Okay, that's the reason why uh, you have to understand this. He says I am limited, I forget, I get distracted, I cannot cross this ocean of life by my own strength alone. I hold your feet. So that's the message here. So the feet is like the eternal, uh, you know, eternal board or eternal ship that can get you across this samsara sagara. Okay, that is that is very different. So let's take a simple example. Suppose a person is lost while driving. The person may have a good car, a good phone, good clothes, and good education, but if he does not know the route, he opens the map and accepts guidance. Okay. Um. Okay, that's one. Or he pulls over, asks someone for guidance. Okay. So opening the GPS is not weakness. It is the right move at the right time. Okay. So in the same way, surrender to Bhagwan is not weakness. It is the highest clarity. The soul says, I cannot guide myself fully by ego, desire, fear, and confusion. Narayana, you guide me. So this is like it's a layer by layer that I'm putting it across to you, so that at least some of them, uh, will sink in. And so that is Sharanagati. So not just the goal is service, not just escape. So many people think spirituality means I want peace, I want relief, I want my problems solved. Okay, this is the general approach. That is natural. So everyone wants peace, but Ramanuja takes us deeper. The final goal is not merely to escape difficulty. The final goal is to live in loving service to Sriman Narayana or Kaikari. So it's not. So see how as you get into this Vishishtadvaita, as you to get into Prapatti, Sharanagati, all these concepts, once you start implementing them in your life, it will give you immense strength to handle um, what comes your way. It's okay. So in simple words, it says, "I am His. Let me serve Him." So this, so when you approach the society, the notion that that there has to be a there has to be an expectation attached to your action is immediately vanished. When you say this is just the whole thing is owned by Sriman Narayana and you are doing Kainkaryam as Kainkaryam. Whatever task you're doing as a service Kainkaryam Seva to Sriman Narayana. This is your approach. Okay. So that service begins now. So, like, say, if you cook for your family with love and offer the food, you know, to Narayana, that is service. And if you do your office work honestly, mostly it's service. Okay. If you speak kindly when you could have spoken harshly, okay, when because how would you really learn how to speak kindly? There could be a lot of ways, but in this world, in the Vishishtadvaita, because you see that the same energy is in everybody. So once you see everybody with the same energy, it becomes much more easier. I'm not saying it's a simple, straightforward task. People can rub you the other way, in the wrong way, and then things can go, um, and things can may not go your way. But once you see Sriman Narayan in everybody and say, okay, I am here to serve Sriman Narayana, and this person, this Atma, in which Sriman Narayana is present, is giving me an opportunity to serve. So that's if you go by that approach, initially it might not be a success, but eventually, as you, as you believe in that concept and then you practice it, eventually your voice, the way you speak to people, your approach, everything will become kind and gentler. Okay. And if you help someone without expecting praise, as I talked about, that is service. If you control one angry word because you remember Bhagavan, that is service. Now, anger management, now it's a very, very complicated, complex topic. And for some, for sattva guna, sattva sampanna people, there's still anger, but their anger is, the duration is very limited. It's just like a kshanamatra. It's like a momentary. It comes and then it goes. For even from Ramachandra, he commands the anger to dawn upon him. So anger does not dawn upon him and consume his senses or consume him. He, requests the anger when it's required for Shatru Samhara and things of that nature. He brings it, but it's still under his control. Okay, so it's a little complicated. So, but if you take care of your body, not for vanity, but because it is an instrument given by Bhagavan, that is service. Okay, Kankari. So Sharanagati, the purpose of Sharanagati Gatam is not only about what happens after this life. Okay, you can also look at it like how this life should be lived today. That is what is very, very interesting about Ramanuja. That's what I like about Ramanuja is it's like more about where you are at. From there, he takes you to the divine home. You know, it's not saying that all this is whatever you're doing is illusionary or it's not of much value. There's something else somewhere. That has not been the approach of general Sri Vaishnavas. Generally, Sri Vaishnava's approach has been that this is where you get moksha. Even Sri Bhasha Appalacharya Garu says you can stay in this world, you can live in this world, you can work in this world, you can operate in this world and still attain moksha, not just going to Vaikuntham or Paramapada. Okay. So that has been the uh, approach of the Sri Vaishnava philosophy. So the end goal is eternal service. The beginning of the goal is daily service. Okay. Now, surrender gives direction in ordinary life. So let us bring this to real life. Imagine you're in a mall, around you, people are shopping, eating, talking, walking, looking at screens, rushing, waiting, carrying bags, different ages, different clothes, different lives, different worries. Okay. From outside, like it looks ordinary, but if you look deeper, every person is searching for something. Okay. One person is searching for comfort, one is searching for respect, one is searching for beauty, one is searching for success. Of course, did we miss the food part? There's a food court, and people are definitely looking for food. Um, and one is searching for love, one is searching for peace. Okay. Sharanagati Gadyam gently says all these searches are incomplete until the soul finds its true shelter. Okay. So shopping is not wrong, working is not wrong, family life is not wrong, enjoying simple happiness is not wrong. But if you forget the soul, then life becomes only outer movement. Okay. Like walking through many shops, but forgetting what the real requirement is. Okay, what we came in for. So the world gives many useful things, but it cannot give the soul its final home. That home is Sriman Narayana. Okay. So as we know in Shri Krishna says Sarva Dharman Parityajya. So in that shloka it says, take refuge or sheltered protection in me alone. I shall free you, do not grieve. So do not grieve, that is same spirit we feel in Sharanagati Kadam. Do not grieve, Masucha. Okay. Bhagavan is not waiting to reject the soul, he's waiting to receive the soul. Okay. Okay. She lifts the child again. Okay. That is so mother always lifts the child, and even though he while he's learning to walk. Okay, that is divine compassion. So the as we talked earlier, so surrender does not mean I have become perfect. It means I have stopped pretending that I'm independent. Okay. Sarvatantra Swatantra. That is only for Perumal, not for us. Okay. So independence and again we have to be very careful when we say we don't want independence. I now live under your protection. So when you talk about in these terms, Sripashna Apalacharya Garu has been very clear in this aspect. He says, from the outer perspective, you are the one who's signing, you are the one who is responsible in the societal needs. So you cannot run away from the responsibility. You cannot say, this is not my home, okay, because I am just Atma, I am not the body. Okay, and so this whole name and all this facial recognition and all this, um, you cannot just run away from it, or you cannot um, be in a state of denial in that sense. Okay, he says you have to own it up. So all the actions you do, you have to own it up in the societal realm. But when it comes to that Atma and Paramatma, okay, that is when you have to say this everything is being done as a service to God, and everything is being done by the by Perumal. That distinction you have to make. Okay, or else it could go crazy and say I'm hearing voices, and so I'm doing all this crazy stuff. So that is not what the approach of a Sri Vaishnava is. Okay, it can never be that. And of course, as Gandhiji sings, I have spoken this again earlier. He says, Vaishnava Janato, that whole song, Vaishnava Janato, Kene Kahiye Ji, Peed Tene Kahiye Ji, Peed Paraye Jane Jo. Which means those who understand, who can feel if there is somebody else hurting there, somebody's have issues, somebody have problems, if they can feel the same pain, if they can feel, if you can empathize with the other person, that is who is a Vaishnava. So you there is if there is somebody, so that's why I do not believe in this concept where they say you're all soldiers. Somebody comes says you're all soldiers of blah blah blah, or you're soldiers of something. No, no, we are not. Who? What does it mean? What am I fighting here? Soldiers means so there has to be. It is. I'm not here. The whole point is Perumal is getting it done through us. Okay. So whatever he's doing, whatever task we are doing, we are offering it back to Perumal. Okay, so if you're getting into the soldier mode, and if it's resulting in somebody else's discomfort, then definitely that's not the path of Vaishnava. Okay. So we are somebody who says Jai Siya Ram or Jai Sita Ram. Okay, it cannot be turned into a war cry. Okay, this is not. We are not in that trap. It is always that compassion that Mother Sita first comes in. Similarly, we have Neela Devi, we have Goda Devi, we have Sri Devi, we have Bhu Devi. Why are all these Devis to put comfort in now? Before everybody is our Kare Karune Ramanuja. So that whole compassion has to come in. So if you're focusing your mind onto compassion every day, then this whole your life itself will become much, much peaceful. You'll be always at peace. Okay. That's okay. So now then one important question comes, is surrender only a prayer? Okay, no. The prayer is the beginning. Life must slowly follow. If I say, Narayana, I surrender to you, okay, but I continue to speak cruelly, cheat, hurt people, and live with arrogance, then the prayer has not yet entered the heart. So this is a very dicey problem. I have noticed people who are very, very like mainly in places of worship, people who are completely devoted to it, their demeanor does not match. Sometimes I notice that, but they are completely devoted to Perumal. But the demeanor is more where it has a lot of room for improvement. Their demeanor, I have noticed that, including myself. Okay, I'm not excluded when I say people even sometimes it happens, and so you have to be very careful with that. So if I say, I'm going to again repeat this. If I say Narayana, I am here, I am seeking sheltered protection, and then I continue with my old behavior. After I have come to Narayana, after I have experienced, okay, if you have not experienced anything, all of this is just theoretical. You have to, the jallu. I don't know if it's jallu or jallu, but it's like that rain showers. That karuna, it has to hit you. You have to feel that once you feel it, I think going back is actually, uh, it's not cheating. Yeah, it's more like what's the right term here? You've already found it, but then you don't. You're in a state of denial, correct? It's something like that. You have found what you have been searching for. Once you're experiencing it, you still want to go back to the old ways, old habits, which which will take you away from this thing that you're seeking. Okay, that is not acceptable. Okay, because if your goal is Paramatma, if your goal is to try to understand what what see, this is not that I or this goshti, because I'm speaking for myself. Even though I'm associated with the goshti, I'm taking all the good things. If there is any flaws in my understanding, it is all my personal issues. Okay, and I'll try to improve it. Okay, but intentionally I'm not putting anything bad out there. But so the the one the whole idea here is that this entity pervades everything, not just Earth, beyond Earth. If there is a black hole in the center of the Milky Way, even this entity is controlling that black hole in the center of Milky Way. Okay, so do not assume that this is meant only for like humans. It's meant only for uh, a certain part of the universe. It is for the universe and beyond. And this entity or this energy pervades everything. Okay, so once you get into When once you start feeling that, once you start feeling that there is something beyond this body that existing, my humble request is, try not to go back. Try not to go back to the old part with, all the revenge, anger, all that you had left, all that you wanted to put aside to seek this great thing. And as I told you, this is not I'm not introducing anything new here. Okay, this has been going on for centuries, for centuries, for millennia, and people have been completely into it. It's only in the past few hundred years that it looks like some of and most of us have lost this connection. But prior to that, everybody had this connection. They could feel it. It's only in the past 200-300 years or 250 years or so that we have lost this connection. So in order to do not assume that I'm telling you something new, that okay, and you're saying, okay, is he creating a new cult or something? No, no, no. This has been all over the earth. People have been grappling with this, and everybody had come up with something or the other. Okay, but the most research and the most simplest and advanced form has been in the South Asian subcontinent, and mostly in the southern part, which is this Vishishtadvaita philosophy of Ramanuja and Yamanacharya, Ramanuja, and Manavala Mamuni. So they have made it so simpler. Okay, so they say even you're doing yagyas, and people do yagyas and all, they're very good. It's a recharge phase, recharging points. You go there, but do for Sharanagati and Prapati and all that they have given, they're saying it's much here. Look at what Alvars did. I'll keep repeating myself. The rishis have given direction, path, and saying that is the path. Please go on the path. And they've said, go deep down in the ocean. In the ocean there will be gems. The Alvars actually did a deep dive. Okay, with no whatever capsules or nothing. Okay, with no pressurized anything. He just went deep down, got those gems, and say, here are the gems. They have made it so easy. That's the reason why when you hear these songs which says you are both Sulabha and Parakrama and Saulabhyam. Why is this? Why are they both like which are diametrically opposite all together in one? Because it is as simple as Sharanagati, but people are not willing to get into the Sharanagati mode. If they get into the Sharanagati mode, it's very simple. If you do not get into the Sharanagati mode, it becomes much difficult for you to achieve this. You can go through yagyas, and then you make a pronunciation error, and then you're back to square one, or maybe even much worse. You not go there. So surrender should slowly make or sheltered protection should slowly make us more humble, more truthful, okay, more grateful, yes, more peaceful. That's very important. You should be at peace within yourself. Okay, even though some work they might demand where you have to be more assertive, that's okay. I'm not saying be very timid or of that nature, but inside you have to be completely at ease and at peace, more compassionate. And you people, this is an overused word in equitable and equity and all. It's like compassion. People keep talking about compassion, and they talk about it very passionately. That I think, when you talk so passionately about compassion, something is not fitting together in this, sphere. Okay, when it's compassion, you have to, the heart has to melt. Heart has to melt. So there should be no agitation in you when you're dealing with the situations. When you're coming up with solutions, it has to be completely sweet and soft. That is why compassion is more careful in speech. This is one, yeah. So because as most of the time, uh, it is not intentional, but um, if you're not aware, it could make the other people feel not welcome in your conversation, into your conversation. Okay. More aware of our purpose. Okay. So now, not perfect overnight, but slowly changing direction. Okay. So think of a train like once the track changes, the destination changes. The train may still move slowly, but it's now on the right track. Okay, that's what we need. So Sharanagati changes the track of life. Earlier, everything is for me. That's what. Now, everything is for him, for Sriman Narayana, for both, like Sriman Narayana, her and him, for him and under him. Okay. And earlier it was I must control everything. Now I'll do my duty, but the final burden is his. Okay. Earlier, my success defines me. Now my belonging to Narayana defines me. See how, see this transition. A lot of people cannot make. That is why it becomes so difficult, and then there's so much of turmoil. Okay, and that is a peaceful life. Okay, now this anger part, is very interesting. It's the anger. This is, I think, the first thing that people feel when they interact with society. It's like somebody talks disrespectfully, or uh, it could be a one-off thing. Okay, or it could be something deep-seated, um, and then you are just completely uh, uh, you're just you just can't take it. Okay, so now someone speaks harshly to us. Okay, immediately the mind says reply now, show them, prove yourself. Okay, that they are not, we are not beneath them. You're not beneath them, you cannot talk to me. Okay, um, but a person trying to live Ramanuja's path pauses and remembers my tongue, the way my speech also belongs to Narayana. It means we become guided. Okay. So there's a lot more to talk. Okay, on this, but what we are going to end with is say it is whether we are here or ihaloka paraloka, ihaloka paraloka. It is Kainkaryam to Rama, Kainkaryam to Perumal. That is how every task you do should be Kainkaryam to Perumal. If you approach life this way, lot of the current issues you're facing, okay, they'll be gone. The fear that you have, the anger that you have, or all the desires that you have, okay, all of them, they'll just all the grip hold that they have, they'll get loosened slowly. Okay, so we'll talk of more about these in the next session whenever we can again reconvene, and then whenever we have an opportunity, and I can share. Okay, so thank you all for listening, and so that is it for now, and sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha. Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha. Mangalam Sri Gaitrama Vinarratali. Jai Ho Ma. అమ్మ అయ్యా చాలా ఎక్సలెంట్ లెక్చర్ నాన్న, చాలా బాగుంది, డీప్ గా మీనింగ్ చాలా బాగుంది. ఉత్సాహం అంతా కూడా వినడం వల్లే వస్తుంది. చాలా సంతోషం అమ్మా. మంగళం శ్రీ బాగా చెప్పావయ్యా. మంగళం శ్రీ కురుక్షేత్రే రక్షాక్షోణి విహారిణే పార్థసారథిరూపాయ గీతాచార్యాయ మంగళం. भारद्वाज कुल अमृत औषधि विधो आचार्य पीठे सिद्धो श्रीनिवास रामानुजार्य गुरोः आप्तागमान्तद्वयम् तत्पादार्चनधारकं मनुमणिध्यानोल्लसन्मानसं रामकृष्णमाचार्यम् अस्मद्गुरुम् अहं भजे. पार्थसारथिम् गीताचार्यम् अस्मद्गुरुम् अहं भजे. वेङ्कटाचार्य स्वामिनम् अस्मद्गुरुम् अहं भजे.
శ్రీమన్నారాయణాచార్యమస్మద్గురుం అహం భజే శ్రీనివాస రామానుజాచార్యమస్మద్గురుం అహం భజే సర్వే భవంతు సుఖినః సర్వే సంతు నిరామయా సర్వే భద్రాణి పశ్యంతు మా కశ్చిత్ దుఃఖభాగ్ భవేత్. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి. మా సుశీల పాటిల్ వారు 1 = 1 million. జై శ్రీమన్నారాయణ.